Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Mom Mode. This week, we have a really special guest, Francesca LoChirco, and I am so excited for you all to meet her. I had reached out to her because Francesca is kind of a do it all mom. She wakes up super early and works out. She is working a 9 to 5 job and also has two daughters and is a wife. I don't know how she does it all, but that is why we have her on the podcast today to talk about it. So I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like most people know me by waking up at 4:30 every single morning. Some people think I'm crazy, but some people are loving it. So,
Yeah, no, I definitely love it. I'm inspired. And I think it's just like, I don't know, when did you start waking up at 4:30? Like, was this always a thing for when you had both your daughters, or was this like a
yes.
recent transition?
Yeah. So, with my first daughter, I started to work out at 6 a.m. and I thought that was so early. Like, I was like, this is like the earliest I'll ever wake up to work out, right? I thought people that woke up at like 5 were crazy. But I was working out at 6 a.m. with my first daughter, and that was just based off of my work schedule at the time. I had a different job than I currently do. And then now that I'm working full time with my second daughter, I realized that, if I was going to be able to get into um, a very like structured routine, I was going to have to wake up really early in order to get that workout in. I felt like once I had my second daughter, there was just such limited time like after work. I just couldn't rely on that. I felt like so many things were getting in the way. And so, yeah, it was with my second daughter. Once she started sleeping better, I was able to consistently wake up at 4:30. But at first, maybe it was like 1 week, maybe, or I'm sorry, one time a week, and then maybe two times a week, and then slowly now it's 5 days a week, which is honestly crazy to say.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I look up to it because I always feel like when I start my day earlier, the day is just a better day. And no matter how tired I am when I wake up, when you give that time to yourself, you're just automatically starting it. I feel like on like just such a better foot than if you are waking up when, your daughter wakes up or right before you have to start work in your routine. Um,
Yeah.
and so for you
Yeah.
working, do you like start at 9? Is it 9 to 5, like your job?
Yeah, it's like 8-ish. It just
Yeah.
depends. It's a really flexible job, so the hours vary and it just depends. So that's what's really nice. I used to work in a hospital. I worked inpatient. I'm a clinical pharmacist, and I left the inpatient, so like working in the hospital. I interviewed really, really pregnant and ended up landing the job. I work for a pharmaceutical company. It's a very flexible job, and it's been just all around a way better experience, which has allowed me to consistently wake up early and just like, yeah, have that flexibility. So it's been really nice.
Oh, I love that. So that's actually something to talk about. You interviewed super pregnant, and I feel like that's like very rare. Or like a lot of women are like scared to tell that they're pregnant, to a company. So let's go into that. So
Yes.
well, you're pregnant with your second daughter.
Yes, I was super pregnant with my second daughter, and it was through Zoom. So I don't know if they could tell I was pregnant, but I was heavily pregnant, and I have a photo actually of like me taking a photo of like I can't believe I'm doing this to show my daughter one day. But yeah, I didn't disclose I was pregnant. It never came up anything like that. It was just more like, is the start date okay, and all of that. So, um, but yeah, I was scared. I think since becoming a mom, like I've really just had to push through that uncomfortable. And so if
Hmm.
I wasn't, it wasn't that I was miserable at my job in the hospital. It was just that I just didn't see myself there long term. And after having gone through COVID, working in the hospital, I just kind of like, I just knew I wanted to get out and it wasn't flexible as a mom.
Yeah.
So I knew, if I'm not 100% happy, like I have to take control of this now. I'm about to have a second daughter, or I didn't know it was a girl at the time, but I'm about to have a second child. And if I want to make the changes, like if I want my life to change, I have to make the changes. So I interviewed
Yeah.
and it was like my dream company and a role I really wanted. And it ended up honestly working out amazing. But I know some people thought I was crazy.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah, just for several reasons. Like, the fact of like going through that change. Cause obviously, if you're super pregnant, adding extra stress, the uncertainty of getting the job and like then having to disclose that. I mean, yeah, you don't need to disclose that ever. I was a recruiter and yeah, we would never ask,
Yeah.
it's not something that we would ever ask somebody.
Yeah.
Um, So how
But I was still
soon?
so scared. Like
Yeah.
I was so scared that like they were going to be like, we made the wrong decision or, what were we thinking by hiring her? But everyone was so welcoming and it just made me feel empowered too. Like, look what I did, right? I was like practicing for my interview super late at night, staying up till midnight because I wanted the position so bad. And I don't know, I felt empowered. I didn't think I was going to get the job. And it was meant to be. So I was really grateful.
Yeah, no, that's a really inspiring story, especially because like you already had one daughter. So you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
being a mom, that's a lot going on. Um Now you just mentioned another thing that made me have a question. You said that you didn't know that you were having a girl. So with both of your pregnancies, did you go not knowing what you were having? Because I love hearing
No. So
these
first one we
stories.
knew.
Okay.
Yeah, so first one we knew because it was like totally my choice. I was like, I have to know. Like, I need to know the gender. Like, I'm very type A. So I was like, I need to know
Yeah.
what the gender is. And then I promised my husband, though, at the time that we wouldn't find out for a second because he didn't want to know. Then it came around and he actually remembered I said that. So I was like, oh, it was just very hard for my type A personality, but we didn't end up finding out. And I had a C section, I had a second C section, and they said she was a girl. And it was, yeah. So we were very surprised. Very.
Now having doing both, which one did you like better? Like did you like not finding out or did you love knowing?
Can you say that one more time? I think you cut out. I wonder.
Oh yeah, no. I said now having done both, like not finding out and like then getting the surprise like
Yeah.
during birth and knowing, which one do you think was like more exciting or
Yeah.
like they're both exciting in a different way?
They were exciting in a different way. I'm scared to say that I liked not knowing because if we have another child, I think I would want to know. And I don't want my
Yeah.
husband to be like, I told you so. But not knowing was really magical. But when you're type A and like you like to have everything planned out, it was really hard. It was really hard.
Oh
But I
yeah,
don't
that would be
regret it. I mean,
hard.
it was, yeah, so
Yeah,
good.
but it would be so special too, like being like, it's a girl or like it's a boy. Like that excitement on the day of delivery would be just like
Yes.
something really special and like a memory.
Well, like, because I had a C-section, so my husband was looking over the curtain to see what she was, and so I remember just looking at him being like, "Tell me what is it?" Right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was. I have a video of it. It's really really cute. One day, I think I'm gonna post it. So
Oh my gosh, you so should. Now I'm like wanting to see that. Um, so you had two C-sections. Is it lagging a little bit for you?
oh, sorry. Can you repeat that one more time? I don't know if it's my internet or
Yeah, I'm not sure what what's going on. Sometimes this does happen though. I don't know if it's like once we're recording, we can edit it, so it's not a big deal at all. Um,
oh, now I can hear you. I don't know what happened.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, wait, I actually forgot what I had asked. We were talking about the
Sorry.
C-sections.
Technical.
No, no worries. We edit we just I have my husband's like the magic behind editing everything, so he'll just edit it out. Um,
Amazing. Yeah.
I think I was talking about we were talking about the C-sections and then you had mentioned that you'd post the video. Um, I think I was going to ask something about the C-sections. So obviously, okay. So your first pregnancy, did you just what was the reason behind like your first C-section? And then obviously was your second C-section just planned?
Yeah. Yeah. So for C-section, I was like 3 or 4 days overdue. I went in to get had an induction, and it
Mhm.
was a failed induction. Like I just wasn't progressing, and her heart tones kept dropping, and it was just kind of scary. So, um, the doctor suspected maybe like the cords around her neck, or maybe there's a knot or something. So they recommended that I get a C-section. And so it wasn't like emergency where they're like rushing you in, but it was pretty urgent. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, like we got to get you back there. And the cord was wrapped around her neck and her shoulder. So I was just kind of like, it was kind of rough because I was just out of it. Like, not actually like anesthesia out of it, but like
Hmm.
emotionally was not present because I hadn't even thought about having a C-section. I work in healthcare. I was like, whatever happens, happens. Like, but I hadn't really thought about it. And so when it was happening, I'm like, what is going on? And so during my C-section, I just felt very like disconnected. And we'll probably later talk a little bit of how like that affected me mentally after I had my daughter. But second C-section though, it was planned. I knew what to expect, and it was a totally different experience. So
I've actually heard that, like the moms that have like one, their first C-section obviously didn't know they were going to be having a C-section. They just seemed very disconnected. And it's interesting because I can definitely relate to that. My C-section was not planned either.
yeah,
I guess I had a failed induction as well. I didn't even get to a one. And they were trying so many different
me
things. Yeah.
either.
They
And I'm
were
like,
like,
wait,
what
I
is
thought my
going
body's
on?
supposed to just like do it.
I know,
Yeah.
that's how I was too. I'm like, this is wild. And like, once again, like, yeah, same as you said, like, I wasn't even really thinking about needing a C section. If I did, great. But then when it actually happened to where they're like, okay, we're doing a C section, and then like, I'm being rolled down to surgery, I was just like, almost like disassociating almost. Like, I felt very out of it. Not, I didn't know what to feel. I think I was like probably just so many different feelings, like anxious, nervous, excited. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet my daughter in like 20 minutes.
I remember looking at my husband and he's like crying, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I just was totally like even in pictures, I can just see that there was just nothing. And
Yeah.
I think first off, if like you're not used to being in OR, right? Like it's such a sterile environment. It's like all the
Hmm.
lights and they're pulling and they're like, okay, this tug is normal. And you're just like, what is going on? Wait, like this is
Yeah.
going so fast. I think what happens is like our brains are taking longer to process what's happening. So
Yeah. No, it's weird because like I don't remember any tugging or pulling. My husband was like, they were naming like the tools, like this
yeah,
tool, this
yeah,
tool. I don't, no recollection. The only
yeah,
thing I remember was them saying like, "Oh, like her shoulders out, she has hair," and then I remember my daughter crying. That's it. The
yeah,
rest I don't know,
yeah.
and I couldn't, no idea. They did take pictures, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if they did that in yours. Like they were like they asked my husband like, "Can we have your phone?" And my husband's like, "Sure." And they just started taking photos for us, which I like so appreciated because that's the only way I like know anything that was going on. I'm like,
But I did. My family makes fun of me because they're like, "You need to have a C-section now," and I guess I don't really remember a lot of this, but I guess I was like, "Wait, can I put on some makeup?" It's, like, so embarrassing, but it's
oh,
very,
that's
like, on
hilarious.
stuff.
Oh, I look so bad. I'm like, I look, like you said, like in the pictures, I'm like, I look lost. I look like I have no idea what's going on. But I'm happy to hear that your second one was like totally different. I mean, I'm sure there's nerves, you
Yeah,
know.
it's different because like, my daughter, like, at the time she was 2, she was, like, at my mom's house, like, staying the night, and it was very, like, controlled, and you go in and, like, I I had like I didn't have an amazing recovery the first time, so I was just nervous, but it was totally different. It was totally different. I was like awake when they had her on my chest, and nursing was easier, and I recovered so much better. And if you decide to have another child, I promise you, and a lot of people say this, like it's such a better experience the second time when it's planned for sure.
I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, I definitely want another baby. I always say I always wanted three, but now I'm like, okay, I might be good with two. I mean, it's way harder. I knew motherhood was not easy, but is so different than I expected it in the best ways and like in difficult ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, I definitely plan on it. And I'm like, I mean, I've said this on another podcast. I'm like, I definitely plan on having a planned C-section because I don't feel like going through the induction and it failing again, and sitting there for how many hours before then deciding a C-section is right. So I'm happy to hear a positive
Yeah.
C-section
I
story.
thought about Yeah, and I thought about a TOLAC, like a trial, like I thought about having like Tolak or maybe like a VBAC, whatever. But like at the end of the day, like the trauma that I went through the first time, right? Like I just couldn't risk going through that again. And I was like, I want
Yeah.
this to be healing for me. And some women find, trying for a VBAC to be healing for them.
Yeah.
I just knew my journey more so was like, let's have another C-section. And that can also be healing. And I think that people don't talk about that enough, about how you don't have to go for a vaginal birth in order to feel healed from your previous experience with a C-section. So just know, if you decide to have another C-section, like it's healing. I think
Yeah.
it's just as healing as if you tried to have another or tried to have
Yeah.
a vaginal birth.
And what's really amazing is I always talk about how crazy the recovery is from C-section. Um, I don't know how yours was, like obviously with my first and only, I guess right now. I couldn't believe how weak I felt, but then how strong I got so quickly. And I don't know if you had the same
Yeah.
experience like with healing. And like I could barely see
Yeah.
like my scar now. I'm like, I wouldn't even know it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so hard to talk about though, because some women like really bad scars and like they don't have as good of recovery. So but I similarly, like I had a pretty good like it wasn't horrible the first time, but I think because I just emotionally like I just was really struggling. I don't know. Second time around though, felt so strong. I also like lifted weights during my second pregnancy, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna feel better than I did the first time. So I felt
Yeah,
stronger. But yeah, our bodies are amazing. They make you like stand up 8 hours after a C-section.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
It
That's
really is.
crazy.
Um, yeah. And I mean, I know not everyone has like a really nice, an easy recovery. I've found that by, I think it's bio oil. Have you ever heard of that? Like
Yeah.
it's like an orange tube. For moms that are
Yes.
listening,
Yes.
bio oil is like really healing to the skin and like really helped. And then red light, I use the Loom box and I actually put it on my abdomen near my scar. And I think that's really helped.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard the benefits of like the red light or if you use a red light,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think
I
that's really
don't,
helped.
but yeah.
Yeah. So as far as after your C-section, your second C-section, you went back to work.
Yes.
How
To a new job.
long to a new job? So you started the new job after you had the baby. And so how long of recovery did you have until you like started back at your job or like started the new position?
Yeah, 12 weeks. I went back at 12 weeks. And it was just as hard as the first time, to be honest, to go back to work. Not gonna lie. Thought it was gonna be easier, but it wasn't. Cried a lot the days leading up. Like it was almost like, and I needed this the first time to like one really good cry session of just like getting it all out. And then I was okay, right? And I always say like the days leading up to working are worse than when you actually start working. Like I try to tell moms that all the time, that just
And
because
like
you're
what
extremely sad and yeah.
I was going to say, like what are you feeling? Like what did you feel that made it harder than when you actually start?
It's First, it's all the things that you create in your head that are going to go wrong. Like, how am I going to continue to breastfeed? How am I going to give my baby enough attention? I'm used to having her with me 24/7, and now I'm not going to. Like, how is she going to be? How am I going to be? Right. So, it's more of just like the unknown that's so scary. And then with each day that you accomplish being at work, you feel better. Like, you just are like, oh, I did it. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I was okay. And my baby was happy and I pumped successfully all day. Or, my baby took a bottle fine or whatever. Like those fears that you have are for both. I'm just gonna be very honest. Both
Yeah.
times going back to work, I questioned why I even wanted a career. Like, and I've always been very career oriented. And I just would have these like just negative thoughts like, what was I thinking? Like, but then I remember thinking, well, I didn't know it was going to be like this to be a mom. Like, I didn't know I was going to just want to be with my baby 24/7. And so it's really hard when you're so career oriented to switch into, okay, I'm a mom now too. And trying to find that balance is it takes time. And I think a lot of women, and me too, like just feel guilt
Yeah.
for
I was going to
this,
say,
these two lives trying to conjoin, which they can conjoin, right? You can be both, and you just have to learn how to do it, right? It's really, it's difficult. It's hard at first. Like, it's really hard.
yeah, no. And I was going to say, like, mom guilt. Like, did you feel that? How do you find that you process the mom guilt? Like, do you have a routine with your daughters that allows, like, okay, I have my career, but when I'm not working, this is what I do with my daughters and this is the time that I like to spend with them, and do you have a routine with them?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I don't work at the hospital anymore was because I didn't get to like see my like daughter when I would leave for work because my shift started so early. So the routine is I'm still nursing, so like breastfeed, and then so that gives me like the cuddles that I like to start my day out with, and then
Mhm.
eat breakfast together. Like cook something, eat breakfast with them, hang out with them, and then I leave for work. I have a nanny that comes to the house, and then I come home from work, and we're always either outside, weather permitting in Michigan,
Yes.
outside, libraries. Like I try and do as much as I can with them and make it um, making the most out of the time. And I'm not gonna lie, there were days where like I would have a day off, and I would just like very like like you just get so busy with like cleaning and on your phone, right? So
Mhm.
I just want moms to know that if you work, like you can still make the time just as valuable, even if it's maybe not during the hours of 9 to 5.
Yeah. No, it's so it's such an important message to spread to moms because I know that there are so many moms, that come to this, I guess, fork in the road where they're like, am I going to leave my career that I've worked really hard for? How do I do both? Or, I feel like I'm not there for my children enough. Like it's such a juggling act. And I know it's not easy for any mom. And like you and I were talking about previously, like there's just so many different walks of, motherhood that each of us live. There's the stay-at-home moms, but that's difficult. There's, part-time moms, part-time working moms, full-time working moms. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't think that you need to give up your career in order to be a mom. And I think that is, an important message to spread. Now for you, I know you had mentioned, I mean, I know that you wanted to leave the hospital, but are you still
Yeah.
using, I guess, your degree that you went to school for? I know that I think, did you go to pharmaceutical school? Like you're an actual pharmacist.
I went to pharmacy school. Yeah, so I went to
Yes.
pharmacy school. I even did like a PGY1, so like 1 year of training, like clinical in the hospital. I thought I'd be in the hospital forever, honestly. I did my residency training during the height of COVID. It was stressful, but definitely gained a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent a lot of time in the ER, ICU, cardio floors. So you name it, I've spent time in. So I am actually working on the sales side now. So I don't
Okay.
use like like I use clinical knowledge, but not the way
Mm-hmm.
that I used to. And there's a lot less pressure. Before it
For
was
sure.
definitely way more intense. And this is more like it's just a flexible job. Like it's very, very nice. I still get to talk to doctors on a regular basis and nurses. And so I still get like that taste of healthcare, but not
Yeah.
having the stress of being in the hospital.
Yeah. No, that's really nice. And obviously, I mean, you have to do what's right for you. And if you didn't feel that was the right path to continue, then that's good that you made the shift. As far as like, did you feel guilty like making that shift into this new career path, like knowing that you went to school for so long? And like, I asked because there's so many moms who like, they might be doctors, they might be lawyers, and then they become moms and they might not want to, they might still want to work, but might not want to use their degree that they went to school and worked really hard for.
Yeah. I think when you put in so much time, effort, money into your degree, you think you're
Hmm.
going to do it forever. And that was really hard for me to let go of. Again, I got the courage when I became a mom. Like, what? Because like I have this title behind my name, I have to stick with this one career path for the rest of my life. Like,
Hmm.
says who? So I think, did people think I was crazy? Absolutely. I mean, even my husband was like, like, is everything okay? Like, are you sure? And I was like, no, like, this is going to change my life. Like, this is going to change our life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what anyone else has to say. And it ended up being like the best decision. Um, and yeah, I mean, when you, yeah, when you start out one way, like I went to pharmacy school, I thought I was going to be like a clinical pharmacist forever. I never, ever would have thought this for myself. But again, when I had kids, I had to do what was best for my family. So at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I had to make that
And
hard
like,
choice.
it's a door that opened that you never thought would have opened. I mean,
Yes.
there's a
Yeah.
world of possibilities of things that can happen that, for anybody. So you just never know what opportunities you're going to get.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now with waking up at 4:30. So I'm just going to call this the time for you before the rest of your home wakes up. Um,
Yes.
when did that routine start?
Yeah. So that routine started when I went back to work, but only like 1 or maybe 2 days a week. This wasn't like 5 days. It was started out really slow. Let's say like just 1 day a week. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would get in some sort of movement when I got home from work with the girls, with my daughter in the carrier, like a lot of family walks or even lift maybe, or I would just lift on the weekends, right? It wasn't what it is today. And I get asked that a lot, like by moms that are fresh postpartum. Well, I can't do that. Well, that I wasn't like again,
Mm-hmm.
like I always try to remind people, like, you're just seeing a snippet of my life now. But if I
Yeah.
was vlogging back then, this isn't how my routine was. It was very much. It was different. It was different.
Yeah. And so what I guess made you start like this? I don't know I don't want to call it like a physical journey, but I know that you often talk about the weight that you've lost and
Mhm.
just like how you've shifted yourself mentally, physically, the way that you eat. And so what really kind of started that shift and how did you start off doing it? So I know like you had just
Yeah.
mentioned like it started off like 1 to 2 days a week. What really made you go into like 5 days a week and then also sharing, all of that online?
Yeah. So like just to start out, so my first daughter was colicky. I mean, she
Okay.
would not sleep unless she was in a carrier, and I'm talking all night long. It was horrible. And she wanted to be bounced and she liked movement. And this wasn't just for like a month or two. This was for like 3 months, like at least. And so I was like, well, she doesn't let me sit down. So I
Yep.
noticed when I would just walk outside, I mean, miles with her in the carrier. And I realized I felt really good getting in movement. Like I would just be having such a hard day and I would just get out and we would walk or I'd walk on the treadmill with her. I mean, she just needed movement all the time or else she was screaming. So that's when I really started to like realize, okay, this makes me feel really good. It's probably the
Mm-hmm.
only time of the day where I'm not super stressed out. So I fell in love with it then. And then again, after my first daughter, I was doing like 6 a.m. workouts at like fitness classes and I really liked it. I still had like my treadmill at home, but I was craving that like social interaction with
Yep.
exercise. And I met so many other moms because I'm not from the area I live in now. I met other moms at fitness classes. So I always recommend to moms, like, if you want to make mom friends, go to a gym, right? Like,
Yep.
I met some amazing people that I'm still friends with from the original gym that I started out at. And so yeah, I like loved it. I started to really find um, exercise as a form of just taking care of myself mentally. And then with my second, I was like used to those 6 a.m. workouts. But again, like when you have two, like there's even more limited time. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to start implementing 1 or 2 days and just fell in love with it. Like, yeah, long story short. So
Yeah. And now you work out at home or do you go to like actual classes?
yeah, so I work out at home, but I also work out with a trainer. Lately, I've been going to the
Okay.
gym more often. I do like to get out of the house, but I also like having the treadmill at the house if I don't have much time.
Yeah. So normally it's 4:30. Is it 4:30 that you wake up?
Yeah.
And that's Monday through Friday, right? So now you're doing it 5 days a week.
Yes, it's crazy. It's honestly crazy to say out loud. Like, I don't even like to like tell people that, but I'm telling the whole world on my social media.
No, no, I love it. And like, I mean, obviously other moms are loving it. Like you've, created quite the following. I think people are really inspired and really look up to it. And so, um, like I had mentioned before, I wake up at 6. Well, it's like 5:30,
Yeah.
but I feel great. I mean, I will say this time of year is much easier because the sun's up. So like, I don't know, the
Yeah.
sun like does something where like the wintertime, it's a little harder because it's so dark out.
Yes, but we need it. We honestly need it more in the wintertime.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Like the mental mindset. So
Yeah.
like, um, and so how long did it take for you to really like adjust to this to where like, I mean, does your body just wake up now at 4:30? Like you're
Fortunately, yes. Like
just,
this morning, I was like, I'm gonna sleep in some like we had a really long day yesterday, and my
yeah.
body was up. So it's just used to it now. It's how you just like get used to being tired as a mom? Like
Yeah. You know what? That's such a thing. It's so funny that you say
like
that because I was thinking of that yesterday on Mother's Day. And I'm like, wow, like the mother, my daughter's first Mother's Day, she was like, what, October, November, 7 months old? And I'm like,
yeah.
wow, like I'm just like, I'm up the same amount of hours really. Cause at 4 months old, she was sleeping through the night. So like I was getting a full night's sleep, but I'm just so used to this, I don't know, mom schedule now, mom brain, mom
Well, I
schedule.
I always say, like, you're gonna be tired regardless. So, like, why not get in some exercise? You don't have again, like, I try to tell moms, like, you do not have to wake up at 4:30. Please, like, if
Yeah.
you have a schedule where you can wake up at 6, wake up at 6. I think 4:30 is, like, jolting and makes people, like, watch my videos, but that's not the point. I'm not trying to tell moms to wake up at 4:30. It's really just, like, take some time for yourself because it feels so good, and when you get so used to it, which I know you've been doing, it's, like,
Hmm.
amazing, like, it honestly it sounds dramatic, but it completely changed my life, and other moms that do it too, like, totally understand, like, so it makes me feel less crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think you're crazy at all. I would say like you feel very empowered. Like I feel, when I wake up and I get a workout in, I'm like, I just feel more confident.
Yes.
Um, I feel like more in control of my life.
Mhm.
Because when I used to wake up like 30 minutes before my daughter woke up. Sometimes I'm waking up when she's waking up. I mean, I hate to
Yeah,
admit that, but I'm like,
yeah, no, it's totally
sometimes sometimes I'm waking up when she wakes up and I just feel so sluggish and I feel like, ugh, like I did not get ahead of the day. Where
well, and I
like
think
when you
it's,
wake
like,
up early, you're ahead
normal.
of the day.
It's, like, normal, and I think people might consider it selfish, but it's normal to want, like 15 minutes to drink a cup of coffee. It's normal to want
Yes.
your brain to wake up before you're in mom mode. That doesn't make you selfish. That's just it's human nature. And when I stopped fighting that, like again, that's when everything changed.
Yeah. I mean, I do love in your videos. I mean, you can tell like, hi, I'm waking up and I am tired, but I'm going to keep pushing through here. And I love that because that's so real. It's not like you're jolting out of bed being like, here I
No.
am, I'm
My
ready.
hair is like this, like I'm taking out my retainer, like it's not cute. And I think I wanted to show people because there's so many like influencers that they like look so pretty. They
I
take out the
know.
top ones and their hair's perfect. And I was like, well, I don't look like that when I wake up. And um, a lot like the reason why I started my page was people would ask me like, how do you do it all? And I think people would have assumptions that my morning was like this or like this, and it wasn't. Like it's just like everyone else's, right? I'm a zombie. I do not want to wake up. I'm exhausted. My eyes are swollen. They're red. I have to put in my contacts into my dry eyes. My hair is a mess. Like I barely even know what day it is. I'm questioning all my life's decisions by 5 a.m., right? Like there's nothing special that I'm doing, right? Like it's
Yeah.
honestly just like
No, and I
an
love that.
average.
It's very real. And I think the internet needs more of that, you know? And that's also why, like, I started mom mode. I'm like, well, a few reasons. I'm like, I want to be able to connect with moms because I was feeling that. I was feeling isolated. I felt like a little lost, like you said, you're like questioning all your life's, decisions. And I was doing the same thing, and that's, like I said, that's the part of motherhood where I love being a mother and I wouldn't trade it for the entire world. My daughter is like my shadow. I just, when she's asleep, I just want to go and hug her. But there's also this feeling where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I wanted, but I feel so alone, or I feel like, I mean, I feel less of that now. I think like as our, children grow and become more independent and can talk to us, tell us what they want, motherhood does become easier in that sense.
Yes.
Um, but I started it because I'm like, I want to know how women are doing it. How do they feel, when you're sharing these routines, or if you're a working mom, like, what is this truly like for you? Because, you only see so much when, we share reels, right? Like on
Oh
Instagram, it's like a
yeah.
minute clip of something.
And
And
it's
you're like,
highlights. It's people are like, yeah, people come into my comments and like say some really hurtful things. And it's like, wait, you only saw like 52 seconds of like a
yeah,
3 hour morning routine, or sometimes even more than 3 hours. You know what I mean? So
100%. And like, so now that your page is growing, um, how is it like creating content, being a
yeah.
mom, being a wife? I mean, there's so much that you're doing. You showing up for yourself, showing up for your job. Um, how are you juggling it all?
Yeah. So it's a lot. Like, it's way more than I ever thought. I think people don't realize that, like, I have to wake up early. Like, I used to be able to get ready really quick for the gym, right? Now I need to, like, set up my tripod. And now it's more of my routine. But at first, it would take me so long to, like, edit. And now I'm just getting into a better routine. But just like with anything, I have to structure my day.
Hmm.
That's the only way I'm able to work a full time job, create content, which is taking a lot of time. I didn't really think much about it before I started, so this was all very much a surprise. I never, ever, ever thought that this was going to happen, and
Hmm.
so it's been a lot of learning along the way, and I'm so grateful. It's just a lot of work, and I think people don't realize that creating content is a lot of work. And now I've created this like amazing community, and I want people to feel seen, and I want people to feel connected, and so I feel this responsibility to continue to post, and it's been so fulfilling, more than I ever imagined. So I do feel a responsibility, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's like now I look at social media totally different, because now when I see reels that are posted, I'm like, wow, they spend a lot of time. Like that's
Yeah.
a lot. So, and I'm sure you understand too, like with your podcast now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do a lot of reels. I honestly don't even know how to do it. Like, it takes me forever. Like, I made like a Mother's Day one, and it's all these pictures of my daughter. And I'm like, I posted it the first
Yeah.
time and it like failed to post. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't save it in my drafts. Like, now I got to redo
Yeah.
it.
Yes, I mean,
Um,
there's so many technical difficulties that like honestly can happen. I have to say though, like the more you do it, the more
yeah.
used to it you get. And I get asked a lot, like, how did you learn how to edit? How did you learn to record? I just did. Like you
Yeah.
just do. You create some really not great videos, and you just are like, whatever, like this, people make fun of you and people, whatever, but you have to start from somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
my videos weren't just like this from the beginning. They were pretty bad. So
No, I mean, I really like what you post, and I love like the routine and just like constantly seeing your routine. Like it's very motivating. And like I said, I think a lot of women feel the same way when they're watching it. So it's really nice that you're sharing that. And like I just love the realness behind what you share. Um, Now I know earlier on in our conversation you mentioned like mentally and like your mental mindset
yeah.
behind like when you became a mom. Can you go into a little more depth with that?
Like how it was like mentally for me becoming a mom, or yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So I don't know if it was triggered by like my C-section or what, but I definitely, and I had a really colicky daughter.
Hmm.
So I definitely was dealing with some postpartum anxiety. At the time I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was baby blues, and I just thought it was motherhood, right?
Yep.
Um but I was getting exercise, I was eating healthy, and something still wasn't right. Like I just knew it. And then I kept trying to just kind of like push it aside. And then when my first daughter turned almost 1, I started to develop panic attacks, which I didn't know were panic attacks at the time. But like at work one day, like I just started to feel very like scared, but I was in a safe environment, but I felt scared.
Hmm.
My body was responding as if I was in danger, but I wasn't in danger. And I knew like, what is going on? This is weird. And then I started to develop it also in public settings. So like I would be in line at a grocery store and I would feel very panicky. It was always when I had my daughters with me or my daughter with me. And I
Mm-hmm.
have this feeling of like, I have to get out of here. Like, I don't feel safe. And it was like this body response. And I pushed it aside for like, I mean, once the panic attacks were started, I pushed it aside for about a couple months. And then I was at my doctor's office. My blood pressure was through the roof. My heart rate was up through the roof. And she was just like, are you okay? And I finally like had the courage to tell her what I was dealing with. And she's amazing. My OBGYN, I love her to death. And she was just like, a lot of people feel this way. A lot of moms feel this way. Like she was like, it's not a big deal. Like, we're going to get you
Mm-hmm.
help and everything's going to be fine. And I felt like such a weight lifted off of my shoulder. So I didn't go to the doctor intending to have the conversation,
Yeah.
but I'm so grateful that she asked me and I had the courage to tell her what was going on. She said that a lot of women, it has to do with like their hormones shifting. And I do share this on my page, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of other women are in my DMs saying they feel the same exact way. And so I think a lot of my page, like people see that I've lost 70 pounds and I exercise all the time. Like that is really not what I want people to focus on when it comes to my page, because you can't have a successful health journey without focusing on your mindset and your mind
Mm-hmm.
first. You can lose weight, but you can still be miserable. And I always say that like my weight is the least interesting thing about me, and it should be the least interesting thing about everybody. And I just, I really can't preach enough. Like people, moms, we have to take care of our mental health. Like nothing. I mean, it affects our kids, our spouses, everything. So I'm really passionate about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously it's an accomplishment that you lost that weight because I mean, that could be, I don't know if that was part of, contributing to like your hormones. Like I know like for myself, like when you're talking, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I've definitely had that. And I think a good thing to talk about is having the courage to speak up, whether that's to your OBGYN or like, I mean, so many times I see moms and they're like, oh, like they'll share on like Instagram, like how they had postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. And when they're at the pediatrician filling out those sheets, they're like lying about how they feel.
I
And
just
it's
talked about
so
that.
important. Or maybe they
Yeah.
don't even realize, so maybe they're not necessarily intentionally lying, but they're not associating with what they're feeling with like being postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. But
I remember thinking like if I was honest, they would like definitely send me somewhere. And I remember being
yeah,
scared because you
that is
have this small
scary.
child and you're so sleep deprived and you're thinking these are just baby blues. These are just baby blues. Like this
Yeah,
anxiety is normal. This is what all the moms talk about. And then you also like personally, I don't want to talk to a pediatrician about my mental health.
for sure.
I didn't feel like safe, I guess. Nothing to do with the pediatrician, but my
Yeah.
OBGYN had such, she delivered my child and I trusted her so much. And I really like adore her. And it was like just the perfect combination to like finally say something. Um,
Yeah.
so I think there's just multiple factors. Like,
So did you go to like, did you get your blood drawn to figure out then like were your hormones off? Like, I mean,
no,
there's
I
so
mean,
many changes that happen in a
yes.
woman's
I mean,
body.
at this point, I was like almost a year postpartum. I think I was like making less milk. And she said that she's had like a lot of other moms when like their babies are like nursing less, that it can be, I don't know. All I know is that like I definitely like I was just so grateful to like get like some help because and then so I started like a medication for my
Okay.
anxiety, and it's a daily medication, and it was just a small dose and
Yeah.
it was life changing. It totally like took the edge off, and I'm a pharmacist so like I knew what to expect and everything like that. And, but it was way better than I ever expected. It just kind of like, you still can sometimes feel a little anxiety. It's not like you're like numb to the world or anything. It
Yeah.
just like takes that edge off. Like I can go to a grocery store with my kids and not feel in danger, right? Um,
And
so
I
yeah.
know that feeling. I've definitely had that. I even like, I remember I was riding, like, I had to go somewhere and there was an elevator and I wasn't even with my daughter. I was by myself and I was like scared to get in the elevator.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely have like a weird fear thing that's come in since becoming a mom. And I don't know if it's because I realized like I now have this daughter to take care of. So now I'm like just more like
Yes.
leery of things that I'm doing in my life. Like,
Yeah.
okay, wait, that can, if I get stuck in the elevator, like, who's going to take care of my daughter when, like, hello, my husband would, but still, like, it's just like
Well,
the thought,
yes.
it's
So when
crazy.
I remember one day I was like leaving for work and going to the hospital, and I was like, well, if I get hit by, and in my mind, it was so logical. I was like, if I get hit by a car and I die, okay, I have to tell him where all the milk is. I just need him to know in case something happens to me, all of the frozen milk, like, what? Like looking
Yeah.
back, I was like, that was like not, and a lot of women have intrusive thoughts, but like, I would never, I was yes, those types of they don't really ever fully go away, but it
Yeah.
definitely has gotten better. But yeah, like it's really, and that's again another part of motherhood that's just so hard to deal with.
100%. Cause I never thought that way. And even my husband will sometimes be like, what happened? Like, you never used to have like fear or like you never used to worry about things like this. Like, you worry a lot now. And I'm like, I don't know. And it's definitely less now. And I definitely I can say that when I stopped breastfeeding, I mean, I didn't just stop. I just, my supply was, lessening. I got until about 9, 10 months. And then there was a huge hormonal shift. I would say like 3 or 4 months after that, when like my milk fully dried up. And it was like, but like I was very aware. And I think as moms, as long as we're aware, like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's the most important piece
yeah,
because you can get into your mind, you can get into a dark place, you can get into a really, and like you said, I mean, it could affect our children. I was like super frustrated with my dogs when they would bark. I'm like, just be quiet, and I'm like, oh my God, I love my dogs. Why am I upset with them?
yes, so true.
It can come between your marriage if you're short fused.
Mm,
So it's just so important to, just know and like also just know that like, I mean, I don't want to say it's temporary because for some women it's a lot harder than for other women,
sure.
but you can push, you can find a resolution. Like just like you said, you're taking like a little small dose of and is it like an anxiety
Yeah, yeah, it's like
type
a
of
precedent to anxiety. Yeah, I mean, I was diagnosed with anxiety, but
yeah,
a lot of these medications help with both. So
for sure. There's so many different things. Even just getting things checked. Like I went to a doctor and got and sure enough, I have an autoimmune, I have like Hashimoto's.
oh, okay.
Well, your thyroid can contribute to like anxiety and just like crazy stuff.
Yes,
And I'm
very true.
like, and so I'm kind of, I'm getting a whole like on top of all of that and just
Yeah,
taking certain supplements that I was very low in. And I feel like a different person.
that's amazing.
So it's, it's just, you just never know. And like, if you do, you just have to go and, A, tell a doctor, B, and then take the proper steps, whether that's,
Yeah,
there's so many different routes
and I
of
think people are
healing.
like, think I'm like pushing people to get on medication or anything like that. That's not
No,
true.
everyone
It's
has their
just,
own avenues of what they
yeah,
do.
it's like, oh my gosh, like whatever someone chooses to do. I actually grew up very holistic and natural. Like
Yeah.
I was actually surprised my family ever thought I never thought I'd want to be a pharmacist, but like I just want like women to get help. And I do get like a lot of DMs saying, "Thank you for sharing your story. I'm going to talk to my doctor tomorrow, or I made an appointment," or so that makes like all of the mean troll comments like worth it when women feel like they're seen on my page. So
I think sharing is so powerful. And I think it's amazing to use a platform such as Instagram to share your story. Um, yeah. I mean, even listening to you, it's like, wow, I don't feel alone in what I was feeling. And
no.
once again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to moms was because like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, and what I'm feeling okay? Like am I all right?" And then I'm
Yes.
like, you talk to moms and you're like, "Everyone's feeling this. It's not talked about enough." You know? It's
Yes.
yeah,
And I
like
think it's like so important on social media too to talk about it because people like you can portray whatever life you want on social media. And like now that I'm into editing, like there's so many things that I could edit out and that I do edit out, right? For privacy
yeah,
reasons. But I think it's really easy to look on social media and be like, oh, they have this perfect house and this perfect this. And like there's so much you guys like people don't see what's going on
yeah.
social media. So that's why I think it is really important for women to talk about the realities of their life if they're going to be having like a public platform like social media, just to be honest, to help other women like feel seen.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those posts where it's like, let me, what is it? Let me de-influence you. Where like
Yes.
they share like, like you might think this, but this is really what's going on. And I love that. I love the realness behind those posts.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog's.
Oh no, it's okay.
My husband has her, but
Oh,
can you hear her?
I can hear her. It's fine. We can edit. I could keep it in. It doesn't matter.
Michael, is she okay? Mom life.
Mom life. Yeah.
Sorry, you can keep
Um,
going.
no, totally. No, I was gonna tell you that
Yeah.
sometimes my daughter, she's in the room next door.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I'll be like recording during the middle of the day
Yeah.
and she's napping and she'll just start kicking, like you hear her kicking or kicking the wall. And I'm just like on here, like trying to focus on the conversation, but I just hear her pounding in there. And then and my
Yeah.
husband has the monitor and he'll like run and get her. But
Yeah, that's so nice. I know my husband's home and everything. But it's she's like going through this weird like it's actually 9:10 here in Mich it's like 8 an hour ahead. So she's
oh, wow. It's an hour later.
yeah, yeah. So we
Oh my
started at
gosh. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry. Here
That's
I'm
why I said
thinking,
7 oh, no. I said 7 PM Central Time because I was like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's actually 9:10 here. So
Oh my
she's up
gosh.
really late. I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
But go on. No, we're totally fine, I promise.
Um, so okay, so we were talking about like mental health.
Yes.
So with your platform, what do you think is the most like asked question? Or maybe there's a few that like moms are asking you. Like what, based on what you're sharing, what's a lot of like what do people want more of from what you share?
Oh gosh. Just I just get asked all the time like how I do it. And I'm like, I'm showing you. There's nothing
Yeah,
special. Like I'm showing you. Like they just want to see more of like the routines, more of like a lot of people want to see like the nighttime routine, but I'm
I
so
was going
tired
to
at
ask.
that point. I'm so tired to move my tripod around. It takes so much energy that after like vlogging my morning, like it's a lot. So I want to do it more. A lot of my night routine includes my husband, and the reason why I like to record my early mornings is because it's just about me. And I
Yeah.
don't like to make my routines too much about my kids or my husband, even though they're a huge part. A lot of times people think like I'm like a single mom or something because I don't post my husband a lot, but he actually is like the reason why I'm able to like continue to do all of this. He helps so much. We are pretty much 50-50, as much as you can be 50-50. He helps me with
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, cooking, everything. And so to do a nighttime routine, like afternoon routine, would include him a lot. And he doesn't mind being behind the camera, but I so see what happens is with like editing and stuff, like I get to tell a story I want to give, right?
Yep.
And so sometimes I worry that I'm going to be telling a story that my husband or my daughters won't like one day for some reason. So I kind of like to just focus it on me because
For
you can edit
sure.
things, edit things a certain way and it comes with criticism, right? Like I get a lot of criticism and mean comments and I can handle it, but like if it becomes to like if it has to do with like my husband or my kids, like I don't know how I'm gonna be able to handle that. So
Oh, definitely. And then it's just like, I mean, my guess is that then it's like, where does it end? Then they're going to want more, and it's like,
that's the
you need
thing.
some kind of privacy,
Yes, it's always people want to know more about my job, which I don't like to go into for privacy reasons. People want to know more about my husband and our like roles. And again, I just like to like nothing. There's nothing wrong. I just like to keep certain things private, especially with my kids. And if people just want to know more and more, and I'll think like I gave them, look, I gave you, and then they want
yeah.
more and they want more, and then that can feel like heavy sometimes. So, like
Oh, definitely.
I only do so much. So
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, what is your nighttime routine like? I mean, I know you mentioned that, I don't want you to vlog it or have to use your tripod.
yeah,
And I know that involves your husband, but like, do you guys go to bed early? Obviously for you to start at that 4:30 a.m., like, I mean,
yeah.
what time are you getting into bed?
Yeah. So we'll say like pre doing content, I would get into bed at like 8:30 and I would sip tea and I would read my Kindle until I fell asleep. And like, I was very much like a no screen time like person. Like I wouldn't really watch TV. I wouldn't be on my phone, and I could just I slept really well. Now things are different because I have the responsibility of like making content, and because I'm working full time, I don't have a lot of time during the day. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my routine now is just I get into bed at like 9, right? Depending on our kids, and I'll do some editing and try to just get everything organized, like content wise, for the next day. So things are different now, but I definitely tell like if say like a mom, if they want to start waking up super early, you have to start with your nighttime routine. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like if I wasn't making content, it would be getting into bed at a decent time, sipping some tea. I go to bed early, my husband goes to bed late. We're total opposites. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's pretty, I mean it's nothing
Yeah, I feel like
exciting.
that's always the case. My husband goes to bed so late. I'm like, I cannot do that. And like, here's me. I'm like, okay, I'm getting up. I'm working out at 6
Yeah.
a.m. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, it's so funny because sometimes he'll like, my husband games. That's just like his
Mine
thing that he
too.
does.
Yeah.
And so he'll be like, okay, I don't have to wake up super early for work. And I'll be like, please don't wake me up when you come in the room because, he sleeps in later than I do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm waking up super early. My husband's definitely a night owl. He's like so
Yeah.
funny. He's like, I don't want to go to bed because that means tomorrow's going to come faster. And I'm like, tomorrow's coming regardless. Like,
So, do you want to be more tired? Though my husband's the same way. I get asked a lot too, like, does my husband wake up to my alarm? He doesn't. He's like a really heavy sleeper. And sometimes even my toddler's in my bed, not often,
yeah,
but she doesn't wake up either. So, but a lot of people
that's
are like, "How-"
shocking.
Yeah, like
Like
she,
your husband's one thing, but like your toddler, like a toddler not
yeah.
waking up. I feel like my daughter hears me walk past her room and she like, I watch her move on the monitor and I'm like, oh gosh.
A lot of moms say like, how do your kids not wake up? But another thing that really helped like early on when I was like when my girls were smaller was I was grateful like my husband would wake up with them if I was already at the gym. Like he wouldn't make me feel bad about taking that time for myself. Like if he had to wake up earlier than his alarm because one of the girls was awake because I'm doing something good for myself. He
Yeah.
like was super understanding. So I think that that's really important. I think some moms feel guilt like leaving the kids with their husband. But my husband works out after work and I work out before. And again, we're like an equal partnership. So we both need to
Yeah.
do things that make us feel good. And so that's how we're able to do it for now. So
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. My husband, I'm like, sorry, like you're going to have to like wake her up, feed her breakfast.
yeah.
But I love it because when I walk in the door, it's like 7:15, and she's just in her high chair and just like so excited to see me. It's the
I
best.
know. It's I remember before and I was like, I can't miss the feeding. I can't miss part of breakfast. And then it's like, no, it's like good for them to bond too. Like it's cute. I like it. It's their
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so for the moms that, you know, want to know how you do it all
Yeah.
and want to, I think a lot of these moms are probably messaging you because they're obviously truly inspired by you, right? And they like want to know more because they want to mimic, what you're doing, right? Because they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's doing it. She has it together." What is like the best piece of advice that you could give a mom that is a working mom with children wanting to prioritize like her mental and physical health?
Yeah. So first it's figuring out like what are those roadblocks in your mind. So I call those limitations. So figuring out what are those limitations and working through them and proving yourself wrong over and over and over again. Like for me, the limitations were like, there's no way I'll be able to work full time and breastfeed. I did. Like, what were the things that were going to get in the way? And then I pushed through those. Same with working out. I'm not going to be able to lose the baby weight. I'm not. I gained so much weight. There's no way. Okay, well, like, why? What are you scared of? And then you just push through it. And the more you push through those limitations, the easier it gets. Like to the
Mhm.
point where now I'll have again every single day I have my own limitations in my head, right? Things that I feel like I'm not going to be able to conquer, goals that I have
Mhm.
in the future. But the more you push through them and you prove yourself wrong, it's honestly a form of self care. It's a form of self love. And when you realize that those aren't true and that those are just made up in your head, honestly, it's life-changing. So, I would really just tell moms, figure out what is getting in the way, what you keep telling yourself that you can't do, and just do it. Like, just do it and
Mm-hmm.
see how you can, and it'll make all the rest of the hard limitations that you have so much easier to conquer. And that's truly what has been the catalyst for just changing my life. So,
Yeah. No, I love that. Um, and I think it's, like I said, it's really important because I feel like as a mom, you know, there's so much that's on us, like with obviously becoming a mom, your mental mindset shifts. Our physical appearances change, whether we want them to or not. Like our bodies, no matter how much we work out now,
yes,
or
yes, yes.
they'll never be what they once were. And that's okay. That's a beautiful thing, actually. I think it has to be made into a beautiful thing. Like we made human beings that
Absolutely.
are like, that's incredible.
Yes,
Um,
I totally agree.
but yeah, like you said, I mean, putting yourself, you need to put yourself first. And when you put yourself, how you're waking up in the morning and doing that for yourself, you are then setting just, I feel like, a tone for your home,
Yeah,
essentially, because when you're taking care of yourself, then you can show up for your children. You're also setting that example for your children, um, for your husband. I feel like my husband is always like, wow, I'm really proud of you. Like you went and worked out this morning. Like you did a ton of stuff today. Like that's really badass. Like, and then
totally.
I feel like it
Yeah,
motivates my husband almost too. Like
100%.
he's like,
One,
I'm going to go do stuff for myself. And so I think it
and
can
also
really shift
your
your
kids see
life.
it too. Like your kids will see you take care of yourself, and I just feel like it's so important. Like again, as moms, we're doing it all for not only ourselves, but of course for our kids too. And letting having your kids watch you push through, whether it's exercise, weight loss, a new job, whatever limitations you have going on in your life, like they are watching you push through them. So um I just always say, like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay for things to be hard, right? Like, it's
Mhm.
still hard for me to wake up in the morning.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to do it, right? You just get used
Yeah.
to it. You just get used to pushing through things. And I think in motherhood, sorry, really quick, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but
No, you're good.
everything feels so overwhelming when you're a mom. Like, you can't, it's so hard to just do everyday tasks sometimes where you're just so tired. And so the more you get used to being uncomfortable and pushing through things that you never thought you would. Like I never thought I'd ever wake up at 4:30. Like I never thought that. Like the more empowered and strong you feel, and you can conquer just like
Mhm.
so many other aspects of your day too. So
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that, and I agree. With your tangent, it made me think of something. And I don't know if you feel the same way. As a mom, I feel like for so long I didn't really leave the house with my daughter. Like I was scared to do things. I felt like, oh my gosh, like I can't miss her nap or I can't, she needs to eat. And now, like, I almost kind of like you're saying, like, I push myself to do things that I'm scared of. So,
yes.
like, how I mentioned, I'm going on a mom walk and it was a carrier walk today. And I'm like, that sounds hard. I don't know how she's going to do. She might totally squirm. I mean, she doesn't want to be in a carrier. She can walk
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. And I felt so empowered after. I'm like,
I
okay, check
know.
mark. Like, we did
And
it.
it's almost like, what's the worst thing that happens? Like for
Yeah.
me, when I'm like trying to get out of bed at 4:30, it's like, just get out of bed. And if you don't want to work out, give yourself 10 minutes. And if you don't, if you're so miserable at that 10-minute mark, go home. Go
Yeah.
home. If you're scared to take your child to the library because you're scared they're going to scream, okay, you go home. You go to the
Yep.
grocery store, they scream, you go home. Like it's not that deep, right? And I
Yeah.
always say that like we're so like we create something so much more scary in our head, whether it's like there's no way I could wake up at 4:30. I'll be so tired, I won't be able to function. And like last night, I barely got any sleep. I just didn't sleep well. And I'm like, how am I going to work out get up at 4:30, work all day, do this podcast? I'm thinking in my head, I'm creating stress and anxiety. And it's like, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, worst things I have to cancel, right? It took
Yeah.
whatever, but it ended up being an amazing day. The podcast is going great. So a lot of times we get so stuck in our head, and it's like 100 times worse in our head than whatever. I
I
think
know.
more so. I think that that's more often than not the case.
No, I would agree. Like I said, I mean, there was days even, yeah, tonight I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous that I'm not going to be able to like show up for like you to do this,
Oh,
to do the
yeah.
podcast. And then I'm like, right now I feel great. I'm like, I'm going to leave the room after this and be like, that was so much fun. Like I loved meeting
Totally. Like,
Francesca.
when can we do this again?
No, so I think it's so important to fight past it. And it's funny, actually. I have a story that maybe you can relate with or other moms will relate with. My daughter was just having a horrible day like 2 weeks ago. And I think she has like molars coming in, just
Yeah.
was a rough day. And I'm like, we're going to change the story for today and we're going to go and get a Happy Meal. I've never given her a Happy Meal. And I'm like, let's do
No.
it.
Yeah.
So I bring her to McDonald's and I'm like, okay, we're gonna get a Happy Meal, chicken nuggets, French fries. And like we're sitting, like I put her in the high chair, get the meal. I'm sitting there like cutting up the chicken nuggets and like she loves chicken nuggets and fries.
Yeah.
Throwing the chicken nuggets, throwing the fries. She didn't even have one bite of the meal. But I was like, you know what? I did this.
Yeah.
It's okay. I picked up all the food that she threw and I'm like, let's go in the car and just going to go home and watch a movie. We're going to have a cozy movie day.
Yes.
If you cry, you're going to cry and you're just uncomfortable and that's okay. And like, it's so much a mindset. Um,
Totally. And you'll see with like your second, and God willing, if you want another one, like literally, like my second was a week and I was bringing her to like Trader Joe's. That didn't happen for months with my first. Like, it's just so different. You just learn, like, we'll survive.
yeah. You're like, just
We'll
do
be
it. Yeah. What's like you said, and like you said, what's the worst that happens? You just leave. Whether
fine.
that's you leave because your children are throwing a tantrum or you leave because you're just exhausted and you can't believe you just left the house at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Have
But
you ever
honestly,
actually done that? Have you ever woken up and been like, no, I'm just not working out?
yeah, of
Or do you
course.
like push through it?
I push through it a lot. I had
Yeah.
this conversation like with my trainer. I'm like, is there such thing as being like too disciplined because you don't know how to rest? But no, like if I'm really sick or if my kids are sick, like I will take the morning off. Like absolutely. I always try and do something though, unless I'm sick, like whether it's a
Hmm.
walk with kids or like just something to like move. You get used to it. Like you crave
Yeah.
like the movement.
And the
No, I
endorphins. I
just,
mean,
like,
I think I mean, endorphins are like a real thing. Like when I mean, you just feel so good.
you feel so good. I know it's so true. Um, but no, there are days where I don't work
Yeah.
out.
You're
So
like, and today's not the day. um, well, as far as like any other advice that you can think of to talk to moms about, like what if there's just a message that you want to like, any moms that follow you
yeah, just
and listen to this.
I know like there's so much out there about like weight loss and the way that you look, but like you have to focus on your mental health first. You cannot just do one without the other. It won't be sustainable. And
Mhm.
please prioritize your mental health the same way that you're prioritizing losing 10 pounds for the summer, if that's what your goal is. Like, but it should also be also getting into a better mental space, whether it's like going for
Yeah.
walks and listening to a podcast or, doing something for your mental health is so important. So it's so hard to get across all of these things on a social media page when you're just making, 50-second reels or 1-minute reels. Like it's hard
Mhm.
to get everything across that I want to. So I am in the process of working on some sort of like long form content so that I can dive more into like this podcast was amazing. I'm not going to be doing podcasts, but like
Yeah.
doing something where I can explain more because I
Mhm.
do think sometimes my stories and my reels leave more questions like than answers. Um, so yeah, but more to come in the future.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited and you'll have to definitely I'm sure you'll be sharing more of that on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
Instagram like your main platform?
Yeah. Like I don't have time. Like
No.
I
That's all
don't
I
have
have too. I just have
time.
Instagram.
No, I mean, I was like trying with TikTok and then I would just like, but it was
Mhm.
too much. Like it's so, it's a lot. Like I think if I would maybe one day like YouTube, but
Yeah.
I'll just say it to you, but like we're making a website right now, like a blog, so that I can dive more deep into like for
Oh, I love that.
advisors. Yeah. So
Yeah. And then do you think you'll like write
yeah. Yeah.
about it? Yeah.
Mhm. Is to just do like blog posts and just like a section with like food and a section with like exercise and like mental health aspects. So
I love that.
yeah.
I love that a lot. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you sharing, just sharing on Instagram with all of us moms and then coming on here and sharing more about your life. I'm sure it's not easy to, you know, work your job, be a mom, be a wife, show up for yourself, and on top of that, share everything that you are. So thank you so much. And I'm so excited to, share this and have other moms listen and hopefully feel inspired or just not feel alone in their journey.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.